Good evening and welcome to Grounded Football, Liverpool FC. It's Monday night, it's 10:05 and it's time to talk Liverpool. So joining me today are my two usual guests. Welcome back, Doug. Glad that you're well. Good to have you back, pal.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's great to be back after what was a really, really hard week last week for me. But I'm feeling a lot better and raring to go. Thank you for having me again.
No, my pleasure. And not to forget Rack. Rack's back with us again. Rack's ever present. We'll be digging you out on that one, Doug, for a bit. He's an ever-present name. How you doing, Rack? Good?
I'm good, mate. My stream's cut out for a second there, but yeah. Famous last words.
Absolutely. And finally, our guest for this evening, one of our guests for this evening, is Mo. How you doing, Mo? First time on the show?
Yes. Thank you very much for having me on, guys. Welcome to everyone in the chat. Looking forward to this. Honestly, it's been obviously I do quite a few spaces online on Twitter, and it's nice to be on a stream where we can discuss Liverpool and hopefully get into the nitty-gritty of it.
Absolutely, and we will be joined by a fifth member, the colourful and this evening the elusive Dom Hussain will be with us very shortly to lighten up our evening and give us his take on things, which is like no other take I'll ever hear about Liverpool Football Club. But you know what? I love him and I think he'd be a great guest. So as soon as he gets here, the better for the show. So how have you been in the last week then, Rack? What have you been up to in the last week, pal? Rack?
Sorry, Stomach.
What have you been up to? Where can we find you in the next couple of days or so while we wait for Dom to join us?
Usually with Mo at 2:00 in the morning on the Twitter space. Honestly, that side of the Twitter platform has kind of taken over my life. It's a bit sad, but it's just fun, man. Because I'm usually working quite late anyway, so if I have a chance to talk, I talk, and if not, I just listen into the drama, the fun, the craziness. But it's all good people, man. It's good people. So I'd encourage anybody who's on Twitter, or even if you're not on Twitter, join. And Mo and Hussam, they organise a lot of spaces, so I'd really recommend popping in, because it's a good group of people.
Doug, same with you, pal. What have you been up to and where can we find you before we get into the nitty-gritty of what we're going to do this evening?
Well, you can find me on YouTube at the Doug Football Channel. I've been a very, very busy man, actually. I've worked most of last week. I'm working most of this week as well. The grind never stops, as they say. So, yeah, I've been quite busy this week.
Cool. And Mo, tell us a little bit about... I've never really spent so much time with you before, pal, so it'd be good to know what you get up to and where we can find you.
Yeah, no, all good. I'm just like Rack said. Mainly, what you'll do is you'll find me. You'll basically go on Twitter and at any point during the day, because I unfortunately suffer from insomnia, so I'm basically awake at all hours of the day, more or less. So if you pop on Twitter and you do follow me, you'll see me in a space of sorts. I do a lot of scheduled Liverpool spaces. However, I am often either hosting my own space or within spaces of a lot of rival fans. So I do discuss a lot of football outside of Liverpool, which is extremely eventful, put it that way.
Insomnia, that must be difficult, mate. But you know what? You must be putting out more content than anyone else I know because of that, mate. But, it's always good and it's always lengthy and, you talk a lot of sense, pal. So we'll start with tonight's topics of conversation. I want to start with transfers. It's a red-hot topic with Red fans at the moment. There's a lot of frustration out there at the moment, and quite justifiably so. I think we all want to see our team improve. We're all concerned about, obviously, we've lost a key member of our midfield. We don't appear to have replaced that. So I have spent a little bit of time talking to Doug and Rack about this, Mo. So I'd be keen to get to know from you. Where are you at currently with the transfer window, the signing we've made, and what is perceived to be a lack of movement to try and fill in other spaces? So what's your thoughts, pal? Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So in my opinion, the one signing we've made so far is obviously Konate. And with Konate, in my opinion, that is a signing that is essentially making up for what we should have done last summer. Obviously you let Lovren go, you leave yourself with 3 centre backs. Obviously the fourth being Fabinho as an auxiliary centre back, but I think we underestimated the influence of Fabinho as a defensive midfielder. And I think that in the middle part of the season, we realised how much we missed him in there. And obviously in the last 10 games of the season, we realised why he is so crucial in that defensive midfield role. So in my opinion, obviously buying Konate was merely making up for what should have been done last summer. But obviously, hey ho, we are where we are. But that's why when I look at the transfer window so far, in my eyes, we haven't done anything that I wasn't assuming that wouldn't be done immediately anyway. Obviously, with Ginny leaving, that is essentially a player that's a lot of minutes that you're losing. For all of Ginny's downfalls towards the end, he was a pivotal part in terms of, I always say the best capability is availability. And I think that was proven last year. So, a midfielder is essential. What I think's happened so far is that, in my opinion, Edwards has essentially said to the club, give me until the end of July. Give me until the end of July and allow me to get rid of all the deadwood possible and all the fringe players. And try and secure deals for them to generate as much revenue via transfers by that method. And then I feel that the next 2 weeks essentially are focusing on incomings. A lot of fans say that Liverpool aren't a sell to buy club. The next 2 weeks will surely prove whether that is the case or not, because if Origi and Shaqiri do not leave, then are we going to just basically not sign anyone because we can't not register anyone? Or it'll be interesting to see what happens. But my opinions, we need a midfielder, we need an attacker of sorts, and in my opinion, we do need a backup right back if Nico is to leave.
That's well put, mate. Appreciate your thoughts. Evening, Dom. How are we? We good?
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry, I'm late. I literally just hopped off a stream right now to join you guys. I'm really sorry. I'm late.
You are the man in demand. You are the man in demand.
That one lasted a bit longer than I expected. So my
just before I come to you, Dom, on the question, I just want to come back to Mo. Konate is obviously signed. Personally speaking, I see Konate has got to find his way past 2 current defenders in the club to play alongside Van Dijk. I don't see him going straight to the top of the pecking order. I think he's got to find his way past Gomez and find his way past Matip. Would you agree with that, or do you see Konate coming in and going straight into the opening partnership come the Norwich game on the first day of the season?
Allow it, Rachel. Allow it.
That's Mo. Mo, that's to you.
Myself, sorry.
Before. So do you see Konate stepping straight in, or does he have to do some work to get there?
For me, I mean, if I look at the centre-back situation, obviously, I think for me, when you talk about the first day of the season, I do believe the fittest players will start. Therefore, I do think it might be Matip and Konate. I think that would be the starting partnership based upon fitness. However, in general, once all players are fully fit, I ideally want to see Konate start with Van Dijk, because I think that looks towards the future. I think we're looking towards reliability, capability. I think, unfortunately, Matip has proved that he's far from reliable and available. And I think that Gomez has this season to prove his fitness, if I'm honest. He's been with us quite a few seasons, but in the last 4 to 5 seasons, I can only count one season whereby he's been consistently fit. And I think that Konate is someone that we look to for the future. And I think that he should be given an opportunity to prove that he's capable of staying in the team with Van Dijk.
Just playing devil's advocate a little bit. Konate's availability hasn't been great. Suffers from a repetitive muscle injury, which can be caused by diet, can be caused by an incorrect rehabilitation. We know this. We've seen it with our own players. So we haven't signed a player that, like, we talk about signing Saul Niguez, who's missed like 18 games or something in 6 years. So his availability is one of his biggest assets. In terms of Konate, for me, here's my thoughts, and I'll come to you, Dom, to challenge me on that in a second. He comes from a Leipzig side that conceded 5 goals against Manchester United, conceded equally as many goals against Liverpool over 2 legs. Now, he didn't play in the games against Liverpool, so that's the first point people will make. But what he has played in is a system that is wide open and leaves opportunities for the teams to capitalise on. So for me, he's got an awful lot to learn about what we do in the club. And I'm not suggesting for 1 second he can't do that. So if you look at Robertson, you look at Fabinho, who both had spells where they must have thought, what do I have to do to get in the side? So much so that Robertson actually went to Klopp and said, look, what's the crack? Is it worth me staying? Because I'm not getting a look in. Dom, Konate, your thoughts. Does he have work to do to become a Liverpool central defender with the high line, using VAR in the way that we did? Because we did exploit VAR in terms of allowing the high line and the hope that the cameras would catch people offside. What's your thoughts? Has he got much to do to take the place of a Matip or a Gomez?
Yes, and in my opinion, I think unfortunately that's probably down to Klopp's loyalty more than Konate himself. I feel like Klopp is probably going to have Matip and Gomez over him if given the opportunity. And we've seen this before, like you said, with Fabinho, with Robertson, with a few other players. He likes to give players time to bed in. So I don't expect him to be starting the first week of the season. I expect most probably Matip to be starting along Van Dijk. In terms of him being injury prone, I wouldn't say he's injury prone per se. Like you said, they're all muscle injuries, so these things can be fixed. And I hope, however, that they do get fixed. I think the only criticism I do have of Konate is I've seen him be a little bit rash sometimes. Like he just, gets too excited and try to just attack all the time sometimes. So I think that's definitely, in terms of positioning, going to be something that Klopp will work on. But what better defender in world football to work aside besides Van Dijk? So I think obviously he will improve. He will learn even just by training with him. But in terms of starting, I think Matip is definitely Klopp's favorite, because we've seen this before. Even when Matip comes back from a long injury, Klopp will just start him immediately. I think Klopp really likes Matip, which is unfortunate for us because like he doesn't have a bad injury record, so he's just gonna play 10 games this season. But with Konate, I'm less worried about his injury record, more worried just about his rashness. He's always excited to get involved. And I feel like, if Klopp could help him tone it down and stuff, but I definitely don't think he starts whatsoever. Yeah.
I'm in agreement. I think he's got a bit of work to do. Rak, we've spoken about this before, so I won't dwell on that. What I want you to do, Rak, and I'll come to each of you individually in the room, give me the top 6 centre-backs at Liverpool Football Club in a pecking order and how you see the centre-backs we've got on our books. Rank them 1 to 6 for me, pal. Give us your thoughts on who's top and who's bottom.
Are we including Reece Williams in this?
That would probably be. You can do so. Okay, well, we'll have that.
I'm just trying to work out. I mean, Van Dijk. The easy ones, obviously, Van Dijk top, and I'd say probably Reece Williams bottom. Yeah. That's a bit of a cop out because the difficult ones, the ones after Van Dijk.
Rak's copping out. Never seen it before.
Look, I like the Gomez Van Dijk partnership, but when they were playing consistently together and they were on form, they were streets ahead of any other defensive partnership in the league. My question is obviously how Gomez is going to recover, and I've got concerns. So I'd say at the moment, probably Van Dijk, Matip, Konate, Gomez, just because I don't know. Gomez is a big question mark for me at the moment. And then what's his name?
Nat Phillips.
Nat Phillips, yeah. Nat Phillips
Nice to
and Reece
see you made a
Williams.
lasting impression on your rack there. You know, you forgot his name and everything there, pal. So.
I thought he was gone. I thought he was out the door already.
Okay, Doug, similar thing to you. What order did you put your 6 centre backs in?
I would say, well, Van Dijk is obvious. I think that's a certainty. I would say probably Matip second, and then probably I would say Gomez, then Konate. I think Konate is going to have to take a bit of time to get gelled into the team, and then it would obviously be Nat Phillips and Reece Williams. I honestly think that if Nat Phillips does go, then it will be either this week or next week, because it seems they're going quite quiet over Nat Phillips. In fact, I would actually want Nat Phillips to stay, but wouldn't begrudge him if he wanted to leave.
That's fine. I think that I've said before. I think that should be his decision. I think he earned enough kudos last season to say to him, stay as number 5 choice centre half, or if you want to go and play first team football somewhere else, we can't thank you enough for what you did. You know, getting all bar 4 points in the last 10 games as the leading centre back in the club is absolutely ridiculous. So I think we as a club owe him the right to give him the choice. You know, I would fully understand if he wanted to go and play at the centre of a back 3, for instance, at Brighton, where he's going to play every week and he's going to get game time and he's going to develop his career. Because if you'd said to him 18 months ago, you know, you're going to be a £15 million rated centre back because that's what it takes to buy him, he wouldn't believe you. You're going to play in a quarter-final Champions League, home and away against Real Madrid. He wouldn't believe you. So for me, he's earned the right to make that decision for himself. Mo, your centre-back ranking, please, fella.
Just to be clear, when I said about Konate, I do believe if everyone's fit, I don't believe that he should be starting. I think it's just like I'm trying to look towards the future, and obviously, as you guys get to know me, you'll realize that my opinions are very, very strong on our centre back situation. Matip should not be at the club. Nat Phillips shouldn't be at the club either, in my opinion. You know, for me, Nat Phillips's value will never be higher than what it is right now. Hence why I just feel like there's a reason why we should really cash in on him. Also, if you keep Nat Phillips as a 5th choice, then he's essentially 4th choice because Matip is never available. So for me, Van Dijk is first. Matip, in terms of quality, when he's fit, is second, but he's never there. So Gomez is then third. Obviously, if he can't prove his fitness, then he's not there. So yeah, it's probably Gomez. It's probably Gomez, then Matip. Matip, Gomez, Konate, Nat Phillips, Reece Williams.
Just before I come to you, Dom, you mentioned you don't think Joel Matip should be in the club. What's he on, about 60 grand a week? If you look at the guy's contract, which is, I believe, 2 years left to run, if you put him on the transfer market tomorrow, no football club chairman in a COVID transfer window is going to go and spend £10 million even on a player that you can't rely on. The point made earlier that he's a favourite of Klopp's is true. And when he's fit, he's actually a very adept centre-back. He wins balls. He steps out with the back line with the ball. He beats people. He starts off attacks. It's just, I do get you. I assume your frustration in the comments is purely because we can't rely on him to be available every week. He's kind of in for 1 week and out for 3, which is really, really frustrating. But do you agree, Mo, when he's fit, he's a competent centre back that if he was available week in, week out, we wouldn't be having this conversation?
Oh, 100%. If he was available, he's one of the best centre backs in world football. In my opinion, you know, he's brilliant, but he's averaged 15 games per season over 5 years. He's played 25 games in all competitions in the last 2 seasons combined. When you average that Liverpool play about 60 games a season, 50 to 60 games a season, that's 100 games, and he's been available for a quarter of them in 2 seasons. Also, the connotation that he is great when he's available, but we should keep him because he's great when he is available, I feel like is a slightly flawed methodology, because I've said this to Rax before, that you can never choose when he's fit. So he could be fit and available when all of our centre-backs are fit and available. So in that situation, as great as it is, when we need him, as proven last season, he's not available. And I just think that when you are Klopp and you insist on having a small squad, it's imperative that when you have a small squad, your squad players are fit and available more often than not. So therefore, I just think that he's a bit of a liability if I'm honest, he's a liability when it comes to being a squad option.
No, I don't disagree. It's really frustrating. I think, if we sat together as a team, a group of 3 years' time, and a conversation about, do you remember the night we talked about Joel Matip? I think every one of us would agree it would be a case of what could have been for that guy in terms of his Liverpool career, because obviously he came in on a free transfer. If he'd been available every week, he'd have been one of the best free transfers you ever could have had. Obviously James Milner is another one that springs to mind. But it's a frustration. It really is for me too. That one of the games this season he played till half time and he went off injured, and then he didn't play again for the rest of the season, which is insane. Your centre backs need arguably to be the most robust people in your club, because those are the ones putting it out there on the line every time, trying to win 50-50 challenges and making blocks and stuff.
Was that Tottenham away where he played 45 minutes and he got injured? I absolutely agree with what you've just said there, Steve. I think the thing is that Matip is very, very good when he plays, but the problem is he doesn't play as often as he would like because he's always injured. But I think we can all agree that Ben Davies is probably 100th choice centre back, just by the way that people are. I'm the same.
The fact that all of you forgot him tells the story. Honestly,
well, do you know what?
Sorry, can you just say that name again? Who is
Ben Davies? Ben
Davies.
The hologram.
It's Casper the Friendly Ghost. Casper the Friendly Ghost, because he disappeared.
Not the one who played Spurs.
When that transfer broke, I spoke to a colleague of mine at work who's a Preston North End season ticket holder. They were gutted he was leaving, and in the four walls of Preston, they actually believed that Ben Davies would go on to get some form of international recognition for a number of reasons. One is he's quick. Two is he's very, very adept at playing on the left side of a back three, which made me wonder, were we going to look towards a possible change in shape? But then with the Euros in the summer, you simply can't spend the time on the training pitch to cover that. So I may put out there we may not have seen the last of Ben Davies, or we may not have seen any of Ben Davies, should I say. We are likely to see some. So last person to speak about our centre-half situation would be Dom. I'd like to know your thoughts on the pecking order within the club.
Steve, we've known each other like a year almost, and you call me Dom? It's either Hussam or Don, my guy. Come on, Steve. We've worked together before, Steve.
Don.
Come on.
Hussam.
Look, when it comes... Yes, Steve. When it comes to the Liverpool centre-back situation, obviously, Van Dijk, the best one, undoubtedly. I'm going to put Matip second, and I think it's basically, look, with Matip, no one questions his ability, it's just his fitness. So Matip second. Third, I'm going to put Konate. I don't treat Joe Gomez as high as some people do, which is fair enough, just opinions. I think Konate probably is a better defender than him overall, especially post-injury, because remember, Gomez knee injury, he relies on pace a lot, etc. So it's a different... With Van Dijk uses his brain. He's a very high IQ player. That's what separates a Van Dijk from a Gomez post-injury. Because Van Dijk is just smart with it. He has high IQ. He could literally win 90% of the challenges just using his brain. Whilst Gomez is still inexperienced, relies on pace, relies on physicality, which is even post-injury, I think he's probably going to drop off even more. So I'm putting Konate third, Gomez fourth. I'm going to put my hero, Nat Phillips, in fifth place, who I want to stay at the football club, because the other three are all injury prone. So I just need that Brexit type defender who just, shoots it into Rosie, And either that Burnley game is my favorite game of a defender, like besides Van Dijk. That was my favorite game, man. Nat Phillips scored a goal, goal line clearance. Nah. Don't sell Nat Phillips. Allow it. Keep Nat Phillips. He's a cult hero, man. I love Nat Phillips. The next guy is the guy we need to sell. All jokes aside, Reece Williams. Because what you can't improve is pace. Reece Williams is not going to wake up tomorrow and be faster. Because we play a high line and I'm faster than him, Reece Williams does not work at Liverpool Football Club whatsoever. Literally does not work. I think Reece Williams would be incredible for a Burnley, for a West Brom, a team which parks the bus and needs him to head the ball out. So that's basically it for me. I think Reece Williams definitely needs to go for me. But Nat Phillips, I'm keeping him 100%.
Fair enough. And for the record, my one would obviously be Van Dijk first. I can't separate Matip and Gomez because the high line suits Gomez, or it did. It's a very good point to make about post-injury. We were talking before we came online how serious that injury was. That is probably one of the worst injuries you can do. Then I'll have Phillips. Reece Williams, I agree with you. Reece Williams needs to either be sold or go out on loan. I don't see anyone coming in to buy him. I think it's difficult for him. He came into the team at the back end of the season. He must have been absolutely terrified. He must have watched all those central defenders drop one by one, thinking, I'm next in line to get a call up here. He's drafted into the team. And to be fair to the lad, he never let anybody down in the last 10 games of the season when we went on. In the entire league, nobody had better form than us in the last 10 games of the season. So I think his future is elsewhere. I do agree. You look at the game, one of the goals we conceded at the weekend, his positional sense was awful and they got around the back of him. Stevan Jotovic got around the back of him and scored as a result of that. I think it was the header. He tried to step the cross and it just free header. So that was
think, do we all agree that maybe a move to a championship club or maybe like a League One club would probably be his level?
League One.
I believe Sunderland had been mentioned as a potential suitor for Reece Williams. I think that'd be a good move, actually. He'd be playing week in, week out. He'd be playing in a team that's probably going to challenge for the title, probably going to challenge for promotion as well. So I think that would get the best out of him. And if we loan him out, then that would be very, very good. And he would come back with a little bit more experience. But I worry that he's really not got a future now with having, obviously, Konate, Matip, Gomez, Nat Phillips there. He's falling down the pecking order big time.
I think it's worth saying before we move on into the midfield, because that's when it's really going to get tasty, because I want to talk about who potentially comes in, and depending on who comes in, who plays. I think it's worth mentioning as a fan base, we've got we should haven't have any expectations of Reece Williams, because we never would have dreamt for a million years he'd get anywhere near the first team, and he did, and he didn't let us down. And we're 5 guys sat in the room talking football. He's played in our first team, so big up to Reece Williams for getting there. We all have limitations in our own careers, respectively, of how far we can get and what we can achieve. Playing centre back for Liverpool Football Club is far too big a task for that young man. But whatever the future holds for him, I won't forget his contribution at the back end of last season. We're in the Champions League because him and Nat Phillips were asked to form a central defensive partnership, and they did it. So big up to Williams for that. But I do see his career being outside of the club. Right, I'm going to come to you, Sam, because this is a really difficult situation now in our centre midfield. Obviously, we watched Gini Wijnaldum make his debut as a substitute for PSG on the weekend. So the reality hits us all that he absolutely is not going to play for Liverpool ever again. I actually stopped following him because it was hard to watch him posting things at PSG, and I don't want to see it. How petty am I? But there you go. I had to do it anyway. I don't want Florian Neuhaus anywhere near the football club. I don't want Sander Berge anywhere near the football club. If we sign Saunaghez, which is the one I think, looking around at the faces in the room, the one that we would want, based on a number of things, and Mo made the point before about Gini Wijnaldum's availability being probably one of his biggest attributes. It certainly would be for him too. If we sign Saunaghez, first of all, Dom, who plays in the centre midfield, the 3 positions in centre midfield? And if we don't sign Saunaghez, who do we sign?
If we sign Saul 100% starts. It's going to be, my opinion, Fabinho, Saul, and Thiago. That would be the midfield I'd go with. Unfortunately, love Jordan Henderson, love him to bits, but I think probably just based on quality, that midfield would be unstoppable. I think with Saul as well, this is like there are so many things that just make him perfect for us. First of all, his price tag, he's not too expensive. Second of all, his availability, incredible availability. Third of all, versatility, could literally play center back, false nine, attacking midfield, defensive midfield, even left back and right back at times. So absolutely incredible player, and he's a very high work rate player as well. So when you look at the Liverpool system overall, he would be the best suit, 100%. So if we don't sign Saul Niguez, who do we sign? Now there's another player who is also very well suited to Liverpool Football Club, and that's Renato Sanchez. Unfortunately, he is not available, so that's a problem as well. So that would be a massive problem. The one thing that categorically cannot happen is Neuhaus. Neuhaus cannot happen at this football club. And if a midfield, this is something that people don't realize. There's a midfield of Fabinho, Neuhaus, Thiago does not work, because we would get absolutely destroyed in defensive transition. Basically, if we get counter-attack, we are dead. We are done. Bye-bye. We're going to concede 3-4 goals every game. It's going to be not normal. Like if Neuhaus is trying to like help, if he's on Trent's side and Trent is attacking and Neuhaus is tracking back, Trent is going to get back, fight the winger while Neuhaus is still running. Like that's how slow he is. So he does not suit the Liverpool system whatsoever. He's basically a younger version of Thiago. We already have the original version. Why do you want to get the made in China version? Like I don't get it, bro. Like it's just the wrong signing, wrong system for him, wrong style of play for him, wrong everything for him. The only way in which Neuhaus works is if Thiago does not play. Now I'm pretty sure all of us want Thiago to play. So a Thiago Neuhaus thing does not work. So that definitely does not suit the system whatsoever. In terms of stylistic, I think Saul definitely number one. Sanchez is number two, but availability is a huge question. All the other links we've had is basically like some of them have positives, some negatives. Like some you're like maybe not, etc. But in terms of fits checks every single box, it's 100% Saul.
Very, very passionate as ever. Quick question for you before I move away and come to the same subject with somebody else. Let's rewind the clock 12 months. If we don't get any injuries, how many games do you think Thiago starts for Liverpool this season if everybody's fit? The season's just gone. The season's just gone. Not the one that's come in. The season that's just gone.
The one we won the league in?
No, the one which we just finished third in after all the injuries. If everybody had been fit, because he signed in the summer of last season, how many games do you think he would have played?
I think if everyone's fit and that's the criteria, then he plays all the games. I think Thiago is the first name on the starting sheet for us.
Just go back 12 months, right? So we've just won the league. We're about to defend our title. Everybody's fit. Do you still think he plays every game? Because I think he plays 20 tops.
No, I genuinely think he plays every game. I think ever since that Stamford Bridge away game, I think Klopp himself probably needed a little bit of convincing, but ever since Stamford Bridge away, if you look at it, every single time Thiago has been available, he's actually started. So he has started every single game, even for Klopp. But that's not the issue. The issue was like his injury and stuff. But if you're saying no injuries whatsoever, Thiago starts every single game for us, hands down. No doubt about it whatsoever. Because there's another thing that Thiago brings that Neuhaus doesn't, and that's work rate. Thiago is a very high work rate player, unlike Neuhaus, and Thiago has like 10 times the pace that Neuhaus does. That's another thing. So Thiago could run back and forth. Obviously, that's not ideally his game, but he could run back and forth. Whilst Neuhaus, you could go make your tea, popcorn, eat a sandwich, and he's still running back. So it's impossible. Like honestly, it just doesn't suit us whatsoever.
Oh well. Right, Doug, I'm going to come to you. I'm going to ask you a question. If you take Hussam's comments on midfield and you play Thiago every game, who misses out of the three that won us the league? Which of those three would miss out, and why?
Wow. I think if we're talking about people missing out, I think it would be Henderson. In all honesty, I think because of how many injuries he seems to get at this moment in time. Look, I know we're all angry about what's happened with Jordan Henderson. I think I'm one of them. I was not happy with this Henderson news, but the one thing I will say, I do think we have options in midfield now. Look, Naby Keita, I don't care what anyone says here. He should be sold this summer.
Agree.
I'm sorry to say, but he should be. He's never fit. He's never reliable. It's a make or break season for him. I think if he gets injured anytime this season, I think the club are just going to have to cut their losses and just say, no, it's not worked out. It's not worked out for me. So I think the player that would probably miss out would probably be Henderson.
Mo? Same point to you, taking Hussam's comments. If you were putting Thiago in every single week in the season we've just witnessed, who would he have played instead of? And then I'm going to ask both of you to a question off the back of that.
Well, for me, the starting lineup was Fabinho, Henderson, Wijnaldum, wasn't it, in the season?
Yeah.
So for me, it would have been Gini Wijnaldum. Gini Wijnaldum would have been the one to miss out, in my opinion, for Thiago. Obviously, Henderson, I agree with Doug that Henderson is picking up a lot of injuries now. I think the time has come that we start managing his minutes more, especially because the club insists on never buying anyone who can play the number 6 role other than Fabinho. It's basically illegal at this point to buy a competent backup for Fabinho. So if Henderson will be played as an auxiliary 6 when Fabinho needs resting, then we need to manage his minutes better. I think Henderson, for me, the reason why it wouldn't have been Henderson to drop out and it would have been Gini, because what Henderson does for Trent, none of them can do. They just cannot do. As good as they are, and as good as they may do it, they can't do it as well as Jordan Henderson. And for me, that's what makes Jordan Henderson, and also it's the leadership skills. He ensures that the plan of Klopp is executed on the pitch to an extremely high level. So for me, that's why Thiago would come in for Gini, because also the one thing that we got annoyed with Gini a lot was his lack of progressive passes. It's all good and well dribbling forward, but if at the end of that you want to stop and pass it sideways,
can I cut in there, because that's a really good point for me to ask you a further question on the Wijnaldum situation. So I would think all of us in the room would agree that once we lost our first choice centre backs, we played the rest of the season living in fear of our back line in terms of what it was capable of. So as a result of that, we didn't play anywhere near the halfway line like we did the season before. We dropped off 35 yards and sat camped on the edge of our box. Is that a fair assumption to everyone in the room? Is that a fair assumption? So when you give the ball to Gini Wijnaldum and he's 5, 6, 7, 10 yards inside his own half, and he turns around to face up to see what's in front of him, everything he did the year before, where he played right up almost alongside Mane at times, and had Robertson going past him and Bobby joining in, that had gone. That had completely evaporated. Yeah. So I have some sympathy with the criticism that was made with Wijnaldum, in that when you turn to face the front three, you can't fizz balls into somebody's feet from 40 yards away. It's not possible. Salah and Mane, like a ball from 15, 10 yards, fired into their feet so they can manipulate its shape and use their skills to go past someone or get a shot off. Is that also fair to say? I think that's a reasonable assumption. So
the only thing I'd say is that I don't. We did drop off a bit, but one of the things we got criticised for was not dropping off more, because we got caught. I think it was partially that, but I think it's also just general lack of confidence and security in our backline. So
if this season we do what we did the season we won the title, and I fully expect us to camp on the 100%. Halfway line, so we engage our defence with our midfield and we re-engage our midfield with our forwards, anybody who's in a position where they're trying to create opportunities and chances will find it easier than they did last season, purely because of the space between the team was so stretched out. The press, the counter press, and what we do in transition works when we're in close proximity with each other in terms of quick fire passes and getting in around the back people. Someone say, is that you, Mo? You're going to say something?
I just want to say, I just wanted to say though, in the season we won the league, I think it was quite evident that we struggled to break teams down. Hence why a lot of the games where we won the game, we were scoring late winners. So there's a reason why we signed Thiago. Clearly, the club and the manager realised that we lack creativity from midfield. So, in my opinion, I understand what you're saying. However, if we're in a situation where we are playing further forward and camping inside the opposition's half, you need a player who's going to be able to make things happen from a deeper position.
Totally
and I
agree.
just don't think Gini Wijnaldum was that. I just don't think Gini Wijnaldum was that person.
No, I agree. And the second question I was going to ask both of you guys is because you nominated Henderson, and Mo, you nominated Wijnaldum as people that would miss out. Within the system that Liverpool operated that allowed the fullbacks to get forward, and we are at our most effective when Robertson has gone past Wijnaldum and Trent has gone past Henderson, and then linking with Salah and Mane respectfully, and also with Bobby getting involved. If you take either of those two players out of that specialist ball recycling position, that fullback suffers as a result of that. If you play Thiago in Henderson's position, Trent suffers because Thiago is not a guy who can play under stretch. I think we all recognise when we were under pressure, Thiago struggled, and he would probably tell you that himself. And he's too good a footballer to be playing in a specialist ball recycling position. He should be playing further forward, like you said, Mo, breaking down the low blocks. I think it's a waste of technically one of the best centre midfielders in the world to say to him, go and do Jordan Henderson's job. That's my opinion, and this is where you guys get to challenge that. I think it's a waste of his ability.
So the only rebuttal I'd have to that is that I think the reason why Thiago was brought in was for us to become even more ball dominant, and because obviously I think the more we have the ball, the more we have an opportunity to create. So where was we may lose something without the ball undoubtedly if Henderson's playing. I think the idea behind it potentially, and let's also be fair, like there was going to, if we've only got Henderson, Fabinho, Gini and Thiago to choose from, there's going to be ample game time for all of them. So it's, you could say like some people may start in one game and others may not start in others. So I don't think that would have been necessarily that much of an issue, but to maximise our effectiveness on the ball, and I think Klopp, part of his philosophy is let's dominate the ball, let's create as many chances as we can, was to get Thiago on the ball, retain the ball, spread it to our fullbacks who obviously create a huge number of chances for us. And then it's one of those things. It's like Jenga. When you lose a couple of pieces, the things that become all of a sudden very, very unstable. And before you know it, you're putting those blocks back on and you're starting all over again.
Yeah, I get you. I think for me, and again, I'll put this out there, and I'd love you guys to challenge it. Towards the end of the season, we were effectively a double pivot, and then we had Thiago playing slightly advanced of a Henderson and Fabinho, if you like, which kills off what the fullbacks need to do, because you have to have that cover in those positions. And if you don't, then teams will do what Real Madrid did to us, which is just switch the ball all over the place, left to right, right to left, and play in the spaces that your fullbacks are leaving because they've gone forward and they're not covered properly. I think you saw Keita come off after 40 minutes because he totally lost the game plan, absolutely lost the plot, didn't have no idea what he was doing. And all Real Madrid did was just switch the ball into the spaces and ruin us because we had no shape. So my concern would be, we talk about Trent being the number two assist provider behind Kevin De Bruyne in the last 3 years, and Andy Robertson's in the top 6 conversation for the same thing. If you play a double pivot and you play Thiago in front of that, and Thiago's never played in an advanced role, he was the deepest centre midfielder at Bayern Munich, which we would all know, and he was the guy that picked out your Mullers, who then created the chances for the guys up front. you're asking Thiago to do something for the 6 years he was at Bayern Munich, he's not done. So I get that he's a technically gifted footballer. I think he's fantastic football and is lovely to watch. But that's not what he's been doing for the most part of his career. I thought Thiago came to the club to come on last half an hour when we were 1-0, 2-0 up, the teams were trying to get back into the game, where he could pick out a pass to absolutely ruin the team on the counter-attack. Mo, were you going to...
I think with... go ahead. I think with Thiago, it was crystal clear to him specifically. I think he knew before coming into Liverpool that he was going to do something he's never done before, regardless. No matter where he played, whether he played as a CDM, as a number 8, as a number 10, no matter where he played in our system, he would have been like having to adapt to something new regardless. I think with just the Gini Wijnaldum thing, I 100% I understand where you're coming from, Steve, but I think like there were many opportunities last season and countless moments where we've seen Gini Wijnaldum always take the safe option. Now, obviously, I do know Klopp does ask for that. I do understand. But I'll just take you back to a moment we all remember. We're playing Man United away, the same game we won. Wijnaldum is running with the ball. Trent is literally running ahead of him. And if he plays that ball into Trent, that's a clear-cut scoring opportunity because Trent is just going to whip it into the box. Now, my question is simple as whether Klopp asks him to take risks or not, whether he's limited under Klopp or not. A simple, straightforward pass, basically him just getting it in behind for Trent to run to. A simple, straightforward pass has nothing to do with the system, has nothing to do with what Klopp told him, has nothing to do with anything whatsoever. He was just running at the right wing position. Shaw was out of position. Trent was with him. He then decided to turn back and pass it back to the defenders. That has nothing to do with Klopp or the system or the manager's instructions. When it comes to Thiago, I feel like before him coming to Liverpool, he would have known that it's going to be a totally new experience for him because we don't play like Barcelona, we don't play like Bayern Munich, so he was never going to sit there and do the things he does with other clubs. He is never ever going to make it as a deep lying playmaker at in the Premier League ever. I don't think he would even work like that for City because in the Premier League you need that destroyer bastard type of CDM who's just sitting there basically tackling people, getting ball retention and stuff, which is new for Thiago. So no matter where Klopp played him, I feel like Thiago would have had to adjust and adapt to something new regardless. And with Gini, he always took the safe option regardless of where he played, the system, no matter what. We've all been frustrated. Countless moments in his career. We've even the Premier League winning season. Many moments where he could have just easy thread the ball in and he chose to just play the safe option. So I think with Gini, that's definitely a very fair criticism in my opinion.
No, mate, totally agree with you. Don't forget, I did say at the start this was just playing a bit of devil's advocate because it makes for good content to listen to an alternative opinion and see what you guys think. So I'm just going to ask you all a quick question to do with our captain. Much has been written about his contract situation and the fact that we may not reoffer. Mo, yes or no? Should Henderson have a contract extension?
Is that to me?
Yeah.
Say it with your chest.
Oh, this is say it with my chest. Okay. Henderson is 31 years old. He has 2 years left on his contract. He has started picking up injuries in a already injury-savaged midfield. Please bear in mind. We could talk about. Ox and Keita are never available. Matip's never available, so that's 3 players already that are injury-prone. With Henderson, obviously, look, we have a lot of leaders in the team now. A lot of players who are national leaders for the international team. Sorry, a lot of players who have played under him and learned from his leadership. I want Liverpool to give him a new contract under Liverpool's terms, and also I do not want to give Henderson a new contract if it means that Liverpool cannot then and go sign someone else. Let me give you an example. If Liverpool give Henderson a new deal, and then a report comes out that Liverpool could have signed Jude Bellingham. However, the reason they didn't sign Jude Bellingham is because they decided to give Henderson a new contract, and therefore we couldn't afford to have both on the books. I would be absolutely pissed. Like, it would, this is the thing, right? Is that unfortunately, as they say, being a Liverpool fan means you're also an accountant now. Fortunately for me, I already work for a bank. So I'm used to numbers. But Liverpool take this to a whole new level because you need to know every single thing about every single aspect. And the facts of the matter are, Jordan Henderson, if he gets a new contract, would require a pay increase as it's his last contract. And unfortunately, I want Liverpool to look at succession planning. And when you're looking at succession planning, unfortunately, sometimes as difficult as it is, you have to let people go. And for me, I want him to see out the next 2 years of his contract. I want that to happen. However, after that, unfortunately, I am happy to, give him his testimonial and say, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for your years of your service, and the job's a good one.
Fair enough. Rack, are you, what do you think? Should he be extended?
Look, I think it's fair to say that most big clubs operate in a similar way in the sense that once players get over 30, they're a lot more cautious about giving them longer contracts. So within as a backdrop, what we would be doing if we were offering Hendo a new 4-year contract, which would take him to 35, that would be exceptional circumstances, and I don't think we should necessarily open ourselves up to that kind of exposure. Sounds a bit clinical, but depending on how you want to term it, that's what it is. I think the club's strategy of having him see out the next 2 years of his contract and then maybe do on a year-by-year basis is a fair one. The problem is that it seems that the reports coming out of the Hendo doesn't consider that fair. I don't know. It's a difficult one. I would say that if we're going to offer him an extension, a further extension, it shouldn't be for any more than a year, and perhaps it should be based on how he performs this season because obviously if the injuries are going to become more and more prevalent and this season he plays, I don't know, 15 games or something like that, even talking about accountants, he's on about 150 grand a week at the moment. That's a fair chunk of change.
I agree, Rex.
So that's why I'd say we have to take all these facts into account. And ultimately, as much as I love Hendo, we need to make the best decision for the club. And to be fair, I'm sure Hendo probably appreciates that as well. Maybe he may want more, but I always think that good, well-run clubs need to stick to their valuations and stuff, whether that be buying players or contract offers and all that kind of stuff. And that's my position on it.
Wissam, your thoughts on the subject?
When the Henderson news first broke, it was the first time me and Doug ever collaborated. I went and made an FSG out video, and I was really pissed off and stuff. But then I spoke to Mo, and to be honest, look, he changed my mind on the situation because I looked at it from this perspective. I was like, look, he is 31 and he has a 2-year contract, so he's going to stay at the club till he's 33. So if we do extend this contract and we do offer him more money, then you're actually looking at a very, very old Henderson who is not going to give you his best ability, which is work rate and availability, those two things, along with leadership, obviously. So I feel like, look, if Henderson gets a new contract on the same money and a lot of performance-based incentives, and Henderson realizes himself that maybe for the last 2 years of that contract, he's probably just going to be a bench option as a part of the second team, just helping welcome people to the club, just, doing the leadership stuff and all that, then I think that would help. Maybe I know we're all old enough. You remember the how gigs used to be at United towards the end, where he would just, play like once every 3 games, once every 4 games, have leadership, set the standards. There are a lot of things Henderson does do that others don't. So I still want him to stay. But if that contract is like a very high paying contract, and he's like top 2 earners at the club or top 3 earners at the club, and like Rax says, he plays 15 games, 20 games or so, then it's definitely a no-no. So I think if the performance-based incentive is based on availability, him playing, etc., then I'm all for it. But he, like I said, he needs to realize towards the last 2 years, I'd say possibly, of that contract, that he's going to play like similar like the Giggs role did for United.
That's fair. Before I come to you, Doug, I'm going to just slightly change the question. So Henderson's current contract and Klopp's contract run out at about the same time. So Klopp will not renew his contract, as we know, and he'll go and take his sabbatical and do what he needs to do. And we'll all be devastated and all that stuff. You're a new manager coming in. Do you want a 33-year-old in your club on 150 grand a week? And I'm thinking back to Dirk Kuyt here. When Dirk Kuyt came to the end of his career, he was on a silly money contract. He was in his late 30s and he couldn't contribute. And there's no disrespect to him. You don't turn contracts down if you're offered them. It was poor management by the club. So bearing in mind that Hendo's and Klopp's contracts end together, if you're a new manager coming in, is that something that excites you? A 33-year-old with 2 years left to go and 150 grand a week?
I mean, I love Hendo. Absolutely love him as a player, as a human being. I think he is a leader, whatever he does. Like he works with the food banks. He's done the Players Together campaign. He's done it all at Liverpool. He has probably won everything that he could at Liverpool. He wants to retire Liverpool. Now, I understand the incentive of maybe giving him a new contract, but if I was FSG, I would give him a pay cut. I would give him a pay cut, and I would give him a contract based on appearances, based on like how many games he can actually play a season. But if you're a new manager coming in, it's I can see who's Sam shaking his head. I think if you're a new manager coming in, but doesn't Klopp's contract not actually run out in 2024?
I thought it was 2023.
Yeah, 2024.
2024. So
yeah, he's got 3 years.
So
Gerrard's
basically,
coming, man.
So basically, Klopp will still be there when Henderson's contract runs out. It's a really, really hard one. But if I would give him a pay cut, I wouldn't give him any more than either 1 or 2 years.
That complicates.
Just to answer Bell's question,
doesn't it? Hang on, I'll come to you on that one now. Just one sec. That complicates that situation even further, because if Henderson's contract ends in 2023 and Klopp stays till 2024, guess who Klopp wants to stay till the end of his contract? That's the way I see that anyway. But here we go. Big moment. Right, let's have this answered, please. Come on.
Well, look, as tough as this is, okay, and I'm gonna say this answer with my chest. I would rather have John McGinn at the club than Florian Neuhaus. Neuhaus is just like, I don't want to rant again, but it's just wrong. It's basically you're buying an iPhone cover for a Samsung phone. It does not work. It's not going to work whatsoever. At least John McGinn can get on the pitch and run a little bit. Like he can do something, but Neuhaus just is a big no-no. I'd rather sign like Mark Noble than Neuhaus. I said it. Neuhaus is no whatsoever.
Wow.
I'm done with this.
John McGinn, for everyone watching, is a really, really fit player. He's hardly missed a game through injury. I think he's only had one bad serious injury, and I think it was when Villa came up. But I think he was out for about 12 weeks. But John McGinn is an absolute workhorse, and I absolutely love him from his time in Scotland.
Well, we all know that obviously the correct answer is Gerard Bowen.
Rax is trying to trigger me now. Rax, allow it. Listen, this is grounded Liverpool Rax, where we're meant to be grounded and calm. I'm coming in here being calm and don't trigger me, man.
But Sam, you wake up triggered. No one needs to trigger you. You literally wake
bro,
up
that's
triggered.
just my genes, isn't it? I can't control that, bro. That's just how I'm built.
Next point of topic I want to come to you guys on is the big question. As things are, we're watching what some of our competitors are doing in and around the Premier League. Obviously, Manchester United are waiting to complete the Varane signing, which obviously strengthens them. Kane's decided to go AWOL to force his move out of the club, which is poor, to say the least.
Yeah.
Grealish has got an opportunity to go to City. So Chelsea are going to go back with a third bid for Haaland. So there's our three chief protagonists in terms of us getting to the top of the table. We don't seem to be doing enough by the Twitter reaction, and I don't think that's an unfair reaction from Twitter to say what are we doing and where are we strengthening. We don't see it. The thought that we have to sell Shaqiri and Origi to strengthen is also supported by the fact that if we don't sell either of those two players, we can't add a foreign player anyway because we've reached our quota. So we can't forget that's a situation that we need to deal with. And who's going to buy Origi? No one's going to buy Origi. He's written himself out of any possible.
See, we can though. We can.
We just can't register them, can we? Then we have to stay in the club as a registered player.
No, but then you can't. You just don't register Karius, for example, and that's it. Yeah. You have a space open.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But then the question you have to ask yourself is, looking at our business model.
No.
I completely understand you, Mo. Completely get you.
Has anyone just seen the news on Origi?
What's that?
What? He's not injured, is he?
Divock Origi is facing 6 weeks out with an ankle injury, according to The Guardian.
That's it. That's him staying. I think what I'm trying to say, Dom and Sam and Mo, is that do we want to pay players wages if they're not playing in games? Do you want to pay somebody wages who's not contributing? That's a really not an FSG thing to do, is it? So you're better off releasing Karius out of his contract, aren't you?
No, but Steve, like, I hear you, but this is the thing, right? Is that if you're sell to buy, which people say that Liverpool aren't. People say Liverpool aren't sell to buy, right? So if we're not sell to buy, then if you can't sell Origi and Shaqiri, don't register them, but don't make them a hindrance to the squad. Do not say that we can't sign players because of those two players. Because you know what? I'm so shocked about this Origi news. This is outrageous. Like, we're lumbered with this guy for another season.
Yes, we are.
A whole another season.
Just to touch on your point you just made there, Mo, right? If you look at Liverpool's recent transfer history, we sold Suarez, we invested. We sold Coutinho, we invested. We don't sell players, we haven't invested. I think that answers the question whether we're a sell to buy club, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Would anyone take Jonathan David at Lille? Apparently Lille are wanting to get rid of him.
This is the Canadian guy, isn't it, who plays up front for them really, really quick.
Because there is talk that they were lining up Origi as a swap deal.
They've had Origi before. Do they not learn?
Yeah, I know. I'm just thinking that.
If Origi's going,
but then West Ham are wanting Origi as well. So he's obviously wanted, but the problem is I don't see us selling him, and he's just had a scholarship. He's just had a scholarship at Liverpool, one of the Liverpool universities as well.
Yeah, that's a scholarship that he's paying for, but that's not going to affect him leaving or staying. I don't think that's not a scholarship that he's not studying at Liverpool University. He's had awarded a scholarship for a particular group of people to go to university or something. Even though he's injured, every player has a price, and he wouldn't be the first player who's been sold with an injury. 6 weeks obviously is a pain in the arse because he'll still be injured at the end of the transfer window. But that's in a month's time. There'll be 2 weeks left until he's recovered from his injury. I think we can still sell him. It may mean we have to take a bit of a hit on the price even more. But look, let's. I still think he'll leave because. If you're signing, if you believe in Divock Origi and you're signing him for 4 or 5 years. A few weeks here and there shouldn't be the deal breaker.
I agree. So the big question: can we challenge? Sam, you've been quite vocal about this last couple of days on social media. I've seen it. Can we challenge, as things are, given the moves our competitors are making? given the fact that we're getting players back from injury, with the exception of Origi, but that's no bad thing that he won't be available. It just means he won't be on the bench and he won't come on and do what he does for 6 minutes, and then we all scratch our heads and wonder what the hell he's doing in the club. So that's what we do. So in terms of can we challenge? Can we challenge? Tell me whether we can challenge or not.
We can challenge, but honestly, look, when you look at every single team in the Premier League, the one team that will tell you the entire answer in the transfer window is us. Because it honestly depends what we do in the transfer window. If we sign Saul, okay, sign a competent forward and sign a backup right back, we 100% can challenge and win the league. Never mind challenge, we're winning the league. If we sign a Saul and we sign a competent forward, we are winning the league, blitzing it as well. The problem is the whole signing thing. Because at the end of the day, here's what I'm looking at right now. Shaqiri is out the door. Harry Wilson has left. Grujic has left. And the fourth guy has left, who I keep forgetting. But they have all left the club. And we've only brought Konate in. So when I look at it, our depth has categorically gotten weaker, not stronger. And we haven't really made any serious signing. So at the end of the day, if Saul comes in, that increases our chances. If we sign a world-class the world-class forward, that increases our... Is that a Chelsea flag? Yeah, that was the question.
That was a Chelsea flag. What's that all about, Steve?
What's that about?
It wasn't me. I didn't set that up. at all. I'll get to the bottom of that. I've been stitched up there.
Yeah, come on. You can't be doing that, man.
That's a howler, that is. Oh, my God.
The thing is, with the title challenge thing, look, I was literally on a show right now with United fans and stuff.
Steve's feeling it.
Yeah, he is. I got so...
Oh, wow.
I got so hyped. I said Liverpool will finish first, and I think it's just blind faith. But I hope we do what we have to do in the transfer window, and if we do it, we will challenge 100%. Just quickly to answer Val's question, would I rather sell Thiago or sign Neuhaus? I'd rather sell Thiago. There's whatever you're gonna offer as the second choice, the answer will not be sign Neuhaus. Would I rather stick pins in my eyeballs or sign Neuhaus? I'd rather stick pins in my eyeballs.
No, I've got one.
No matter what choice you provide, that's my answer, bro. I'm not having him whatsoever.
So Sam, would you rather sell Van Dijk or sign Neuhaus?
I'd rather sell Van Dijk. No shame whatsoever. I don't want to see that slow turtle at our club, no. I don't want to see it. I can just see Trent crossing the ball and Neuhaus taking 5 hours to come back, bro. Come on, man. What the fuck is this, bro? Like, we'd get destroyed, my guy. I'm not here for it. I'm not here for it.
So you think we can challenge? So what do you base that opinion on then?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I just have blind faith, to be honest. I feel like, look, if I'm being completely honest, I feel like the Saul thing is happening. My honest opinion. I feel like that is actually so perfect to the point where we can't mess it up. It's actually just so perfect for us. So I think, and in our price range, remember, 40 million, 45 million. So it's in our price range. So I think that is definitely happening. The only reservation is the forward line. And the reason, just to, I don't want to take too much time, but the thing is with the Bowen thing, people think that I'm upset that Bowen is a backup. I'm not. The thing that upsets me with the Bowen thing is I want someone to come into the club, make Firmino, Mane, and Salah feel threatened. Feel like, okay, this guy is ready to come in if I have 2-3 bad games in a row. But if you're Mo Salah or Sadio Mane or Firmino and you see Bowen walking through the door, you're like, oh, hi, Bowen, welcome to the club. And life continues just as normal. You're not threatened whatsoever by him. So that's basically it. So depending on a transfer window, but I just have blind faith because that's just what I am like, man.
Sam, you're a legend, man.
That was a perfect anecdote after the Chelsea flag, wasn't it? Thank you for that, mate. Got me out of a hole there. Coming to you, Mo, can we challenge? And if we can challenge, on what basis do you make that decision on?
As of now?
Yeah.
Stitching me up here. No, we can't. The only basis in which we can challenge is if none of our first 11 get injured for a substantial period. Like if Alisson gets injured, do I trust Kelleher for a whole season? No. If Trent gets injured, one of you can surely tell me what auxiliary player we will play at right back. It could be Ox, could be James Milner, could be Joe Gomez. Joe Gomez might get injured. Bobby Firmino could play there. I'm sure Mane or Salah could fill in, because this is what we do with our squad. Unfortunately, we like to make them so versatile that they forget their own position at times. If you look around the squad, Matip will get injured. We just know there's certain. Do you know what it is, Steve? For me, yeah, right. It's not. I might come across as a very negative fan, but the thing is that I just look at Sam. Shut up. For me, I look at facts. So I look at history. I look at the last couple of seasons and who's been available, who's not, and what we've achieved, etc. So I'm looking at the squad that we have. Are we stronger now as a squad than we were a few months ago? No, we're not. No. We've lost Gini Wijnaldum. We're on the verge of losing Shaq, Origi.
Inshallah.
No, inshallah. Yeah. But if we don't lose them, guys, we've lost Wijnaldum and we bought in Harvey Elliott. Can if that instills you with confidence, I really wish I had your optimism in day-to-day life, because I think I'd be a much happier man. But really and truly, when you look at the squad as it is now, we finished third, in my opinion. And if we don't sign, if I do think Saul will come. I do believe he will come. Without a forward, guys, for me, Bobby should never be starting this season. He should not be starting for us. I mean, if you're still at the level where your front three have been playing together for their 5th straight season together, it's outrageous. And Firmino's drop-off is so clear to see. I mean, he doesn't do the things that he used to, guys. Like, it's never been about goals and assists. It's always been about the other intangible stuff intangible things that he does. And he's just not doing it anymore. And for me, to be honest, he's a bench option at most. But yeah, no, I don't think we can challenge as it is. And to be honest, I see us finishing third, if I'm honest.
Fair comment. Rack, do you think we can challenge before Vel trashes the whole thing with these comments, mate? You know what I mean? So,
I think we can get close, and with the right additions, we'll win it. If we bring in what's his bloody name? I keep forgetting his names.
Saul.
If we bring in Saul. If we bring in Saul, we've got the best midfield in England. In the world. And then we need a quality forward option, and we're comparable to any team in the league. And I mean, aside from the league, there's only 6 teams that can win the Champions League. We should be going to try and win both of those, because there aren't many teams that are going to be better than us in those circumstances.
No, but Rax is as is though.
Yeah. So as is, I think we can challenge. Obviously, it depends on what that challenge entails. I think we can get within 5 to 7 points of the winners at least, if assuming everyone stays, or our key players stay fit.
Before I let Doug close the show with his thoughts, bear this in mind, guys. We got to 3rd place. We got to 5 points off 2nd place with a club absolutely decimated with injuries. Everybody gassed Manchester City as the next coming, the best side everybody ever saw. We gave up 18 points at home. We don't give up 18 points at home. So if you do all the maths and work all of that out, we're unlikely to have a season of that type ever again. What I would say, Manchester City will have to be at it to hold us back this year, because we will not be the team we were last season. But by law of averages says we won't get that many injuries. And they might be famous last words, because we might be sat here in 6 months saying, what did you say that for, Steve? He's lucky jinxed us. But at the end of the day, you wouldn't think that we could have a season like we had. And the biggest thing we get the fans back, because there is no way we roll over at home to City, Chelsea and Everton with fans in that ground. It just doesn't happen. They wouldn't allow it. So it's passive football really absolutely destroyed us with no fans. That's my thoughts. So I'll let Doug, you could close the show with your thoughts on can Liverpool challenge?
Can we challenge? Yes. I think we can. I've predicted us to be second this season. I don't think we're capable of winning it, but I do think we're in for a better season. And actually, if you're thinking along the trend, like Man City had a bad injury crisis in the season that we won the league. We've had a bad injury crisis last season, sorry. So if you're talking about that trend, Chelsea are due a bad season. Manchester United are due a bad season. So I actually do think we can get second. I think I'm actually going to say this now. I think Chelsea are going to be the ones that actually flop this season. I don't see them getting top four. If they don't get a striker, then I think they will be fifth. I think Leicester City have strengthened really, really well, and I actually do think they will get top four this season. So, with that being said, I actually think that we can challenge. If we can keep everyone fit, I think that's the big if. If we can keep everyone fit, then I do see us challenging. I actually think the 21-22 season is one of the most competitive seasons yet. There are about 8 or 9 teams that can be relegated, and I think there's about 5 teams that can actually win the league. So I do think we can challenge, and I'm going to put my neck out on the line. I think we'll finish second.
Fair enough. That seems like a great place to leave it. What we'll do before we go is we'll just have a quick round the lobby and speak to you guys. Tell us where we can find you. So, Hussam, where can we find you and what have you got coming up, mate?
You can find me on YouTube at This Is Football. I know this is Grounded Liverpool. Most of the comment section are Liverpool fans, but it's a channel for all football fans. We're going to be doing United watch-alongs, Chelsea watch-alongs, Arsenal watch-alongs, and Liverpool watch-alongs as well, with myself hosting the watch-alongs. The other ones, we've gotten representatives for every single club, so we're moving in that direction. It actually is a general football channel for all fans as well, so that's the direction we're heading in. Unfortunately, no one gives a fuck about Spurs or Man City, so we will not be doing watch-alongs for them, because honestly, no one cares whatsoever about them. So please go head over right now on YouTube to This Is Football, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. We have a lot of things coming. A few YouTubers I've been in contact with will be coming on the channel, so we're going places together and stuff. And obviously, with meeting you, incredible people, and obviously Rax and Steve are yet to come on the channel, but I've already worked with Doug, and Mo is a regular now on the channel. So like things that are going well, thank God, and I'm happy. And follow me at on Twitter at DonHussam6. We do host spaces a lot, me and my partner in crime, man like Mo. So we do host spaces. We do talk a lot of football. And just follow us on Twitter. Please subscribe to the channel as well. We're currently at 715 subscribers, if I'm not mistaken. So heading towards that 1K mark. So exciting times.
I'll come on your channel anytime you like, mate. You know me. We'll get this done, mate.
100%.
Mo, tell us where we can find you and what you're up to.
You'll find me at Mo1994 on Twitter. Please do just come ahead and follow me. You know, like Hussam said, I host a lot of spaces, a lot of Liverpool orientated spaces as well as all fans really. And I'm also on other people's spaces. So yeah, you'll be able to join at any point. I'm also on, obviously, like Hussam said, on his channel quite a bit. We do have a weekly show that we do, a couple of shows and whatnot. Do you know what? Like, honestly, these next couple of weeks for Liverpool, I think will be interesting, and I think that generally a lot of the content creators. Hopefully it'll be a fun time for you guys. Hopefully we get to do this again at some point. And I just want to say thank you for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and speak.
Thank you very much for coming on, mate. So, Sam, if we sign Sal, we'll get together on your channel and have a party, yeah?
Yes, 100%. The Saul party. That's the name of the video.
It's a deal, mate. We'll do it. Rack, where can we get you, pal?
Just on Twitter. I'm not on YouTube or anything, but I'd really recommend anybody who hasn't been involved in Twitter Spaces get down there. These guys host some really good spaces, both Liverpool orientated and other clubs. It's always good to chat Liverpool. The Liverpool ones are really, really good. I mean, we have some really, really cool, interesting speakers. So we cover everything from tactics to the finance, the accounting side of the game, and everything in between, which is good fun. But then it's also just good to take the piss out of rivals and stick it to them a little bit, and that happens too.
Rax is being modest, by the way, guys. Rax's spaces are also top tier, so definitely go follow him.
Yeah, I'm gonna hopefully try and do a few more of those because it is good fun. But go and follow these guys because they're it's just good fun, and also the thing is it's any time of day. So even sometimes when I'm in the car going from point A to point B, just stick it on and listen. It's always good fun to have hear people chatting, sense and nonsense.
Absolutely. Doug left us prematurely because his phone died, so I'll give Doug his shout out. Go and follow Doug on his personal account and have a look at the Dugout Football channel. Doug does lots of different things with lots of different people. He's got an interest in Scottish football as well, which wouldn't surprise you given his accent. Go and check him out. He's a really, really top guy. He's got some good content coming out of there. All of these guys who are doing stuff on social media, go and check them out. Follow the personals, follow the channels. Jump on the YouTube channel for this. Bang in a like, bang in a subscribe. Again, massive shout out to the people in the comments in the chat today, because I say it every single week, but without the energy you guys create, these things don't work the way that they do. Valve's insistence to enjoy his camp over new house itself is absolutely superb to that, Valve. So big up to you for doing that. And guys, thanks very much for coming on. 75 minutes in, 80 minutes in. It's been a pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your evenings. And no doubt you three are off to go and talk on the space for the next 4 hours. So go and have a look. And thanks again. Thanks everyone for coming along.
Cheers, Steve. Thanks, guys.